I'd like to welcome on this episode Gregorio Uglioni. He is a renowned expert in business strategy and customer experience. As a top CX influencer, host of the globally recognized CX Goalkeeper podcast, and a three-time best-selling author, Gregorio is celebrated for his ability to merge strategic transformation with impactful human connections. His work emphasizes the integration of human-centric strategies in business transformation initiatives, focusing on enhancing customer interactions and fostering meaningful connections. As a three-time best-selling author, Gregoria has contributed significantly to the literature on customer experience management. Frequently shares insights from his extensive career through various media, including his podcast, where he interviews industry leaders to discuss best practices in CX and transformation strategies. His teachings extend to academic settings, where he lectures on customer experience principles at universities and private institutions. Gregory is also an active keynote speaker at global events, where he discusses the importance of aligning digital advancements with human-centric service approaches. His expertise has earned him recognition as a top CX influencer, and he serves as a judge at international awards recognizing excellence in customer experience. Welcome, Gregorio. Nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's always a great pleasure to talk with you and to chat with you. Thank you very much for these incredible introductions.
You are a globally recognized expert in customer service, an accomplished author, host of your own podcast, and we delve into all kinds of human-centric transformation. Can you share with us the aha moments on your professional journey from what initially attracted you to customer experience and what ultimately shaped you to focus this on as your career?
Sure. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I always worked in transformation when I was a consultant, when I moved into a credit card issuer, and nowadays working in a hospital. Completely different context, but what I found out, what always matters are people. The people that are creating this experience and the people that are receiving these experiences. And as you asked for an example, please let me use an example for a few years ago when at the credit card issuer, I started working for operations, the department that was really having direct contact together with the customer. You know, you are a young guy, you have a lot of energy, let's do this, let's do that, let's create some slides, let's talk to the board and so on. And I started like that as a lot of other consultants then that are moving into a company. And then at one point, and it was really important for me, the boss, the leader of the contact center came to me and said, now, Greg, please stop for 1 minute, come together with me. And I said, okay, what's the problem? What I did? And he said, come with me, don't worry, no feedback, nothing. I prepare something for you. And he brought me into the contact center and he told me, now you're going to sit here the next 2 hours next to a contact center agent. And please listen carefully to what the agent is saying, but also to what the customer is saying. And take some notes how the agents are working. And for me, it was incredible the stories that were explained to the agents, how the agent was working, opening 7, 8 different systems and trying to find out who is the customer, what's the problem for which credit card, and what was the exact transactions while the customer was speaking and explaining, and perhaps not always in a very nice way, and was also unpolite, trying to find a solution, calming down on the empathy side, but also on the process side and for me, it was incredible seeing how they were moving and answering and so on. And then at some point in time, and I know it's a bit strange when in the contact center, is this the reality? I have 5 minutes break. Running to get a coffee, drink quickly a coffee, come back the next call. And for me, it was really incredible. And I started understanding also in this case that when humans are involved, it's not always so easy. And what it's in PowerPoint, it can be the best solution, but if it doesn't work for the human beings, then it doesn't make sense at all.
So I think for the interest that you've expressed your professional life in, something sparked your interest in human nature. What was that?
Oh, that's I think that's my personal story. Having a sister, I was required always to share the thing. I was the smallest one, and I was seeing how they were growing, what's happening. And I was always interested to see what other people were doing, how they were interacting. And this brought me to this idea that we are all here for a specific period. It can be shorter, it can be longer, but now can something happens and everything change. It can be a bad disease, or it can be something very positive. And I think this understanding that I think there is one big guru saying we came to this world without anything and we will leave without anything. We cannot take our clothes with, we cannot take anything with us. We were born without nothing and we will live also. And I think this is shaping a bit how I see the life. And I think nowadays we can share that a lot of bad things are happening outside, and we need always to take care and to understand that the most important currency for us are not US dollars, I am in Switzerland, Swiss francs, or euro, but it's time. We have defined time. We don't know how much, and therefore let's not spend it well, but let's invest the time that we have on this world.
It's funny because as you're talking, I was thinking about asking you the question, but you kind of answered it. But the question is, if you had to say, what is your ultimate friend and foe in the world, what would you say?
Perhaps I ask the question back. It should be a person or it should be a thing, because at the end,
Well, sometimes
we
it's referred to as a person, but one can be call it a thing as well. But it's not actually human. But you already mentioned it, it's time.
yes, yes. I think that's true. That's the most important thing that we have. And I have a small child. I hope that he's not listening to this podcast, because if I said small child, it's not so small anymore. 7 years old, 7 years old, and what makes me happy is to be together with him.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to be a small child to your parents. Even I'm sure to your mom, you're you're a small child, so that will never change, regardless of time. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is very important. Basically, time is our ultimate friend, but also can be our ultimate foe. But I think you stated it well. It's not what you do with your time; it's how you invest your time to. And I think the next question often people are faced with, you can either survive or thrive. But I think I know what you choose. I think you choose the thrive.
Give me two seconds to point something out. I am coming from this experience world, and there is one very well known book, The Experience Economy, and there they are explaining in a very simple way that there are different ways how we can create experiences. We can create experiences to save time, and this is the well known Amazon example. One click, buy, boom, it's done. We can spend our time well, for example, going to the Disney parks, spending time there with the family, having experiences that we will remember forever, creating memories that will stick with us for a long time. And the third level, it's really investing the time in us, in our health, in our well-being, that we're feeling well. Because if we're feeling well and we're investing also the time in the right way, we have also the opportunity to give a bit more back to the others.
What we're talking about is not earth shattering. It's not rocket science. It's not something you invented or anything, or I did. But why do you think people still lose sight of being human-centric focused when it comes to experiences?
The big problem that we have is the attention span of us people is decreased dramatically over the years. And I'm not saying social media are guilty or somebody else is guilty, but we are always extremely focused on something on short time of period without looking at the context. I think a lot of businesses are extremely focused on today, now, without thinking on the long term. How should I do my investment? How should I invest in the long term that I have customer returning back to me, that our customers stay with me, that are buying more, share of wallet, and so on. They're extremely focused on let's do the revenues now because perhaps tomorrow I'm somewhere else. And this is driven of this quickly jumping from one topic to the other.
I don't think you're less busy than most people. I think, if, in fact, you might be more busy than other people. So I'm curious, how have you found the balance of staying busy, but also finding the time to think, contemplate, and absorb the world around you? Because I think that's what you're talking about, right? We all need time to absorb the world around us.
Not everybody can understand that, but for me, the work, the job that I'm doing, it's not something that I must do, but it's my passion. I like to do that. And therefore, if I can ensure that it's my passion, then it's not so hard to do the work. It's not so hard, and I'm not losing time here and there, because I say I'm focused. I want to achieve my targets. I want to achieve my goals. Let's focus on that. And based on the fact that I'm not feeling that I'm working, but I am investing or spending time into my passion, and having also great discussion like this one together with you, it enrich myself and what I know that perhaps I can give back to others. Because as few weeks ago, you invited me to this discussion, and I already asked several people, what was your last haha moment? And that's great. Thank you very much for giving me this insight. And you can have great conversation about this topic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. A lot of times, people are not human focused and human centric focused. So, what are three ways that you get them to focus back on that again?
Oh, that's perhaps not three ways, but basically there are some framework that we can leverage, that we can use. And I often ask to CEOs, to the C-suite, the following question: when were you the last time customer of your company? But I'm not speaking like you are the CEO and you say, I am the CEO, fixed in my problem, if you have a problem with the product, but you really go to the branch and try to buy something, and you getting the feeling what's happening. This is one example, being customer of your business and seeing who is on the other side. These are human beings that can be positive motivated, or perhaps that they are not motivated. But basically, I think nobody wake up in the morning and says, okay, I want to go into my job and do something bad. Everybody's positive, everybody try to do their best, but we need to engage and empower our people by doing that. The example of being a customer is one, and the other is also doing shadowings. The example that I mentioned at the beginning, being in the call center, listening to what a contact center agent is doing. But also nowadays, I'm working in an hospital, and then I really personally follow nurses, physicians, and try to feel how they are working together. And also this contact, having the opportunity to exchange 2-3 words together with a patient, it helps me understanding what's happening, what's the context of the people, and so on. I think this could be two very simple examples with not a big investment from anybody to get a better feeling that it's a people business. We are not really speaking about rocket science, as you said, but really see on one side are people, and on the other side are people, customers and employees.
Being human centric, I think, has always been important. But I'm curious, would you argue that it's even more important today? And if so, why?
Yes, I am 100% sure that it's even more important. And I can bring to you two examples. And the first one is if you walk around where you're living, you see a lot of people with a smartphone watching into the screen. And for that moment, they get all the right hormones to be happy and seeing how cool it is. But in reality, they are feeling lonely. We see, for example, in the USA, also the latest report, the loneliness report, people feel lonely. They are now calling call centers in order to have the opportunity to talk with somebody because they feel lonely at home. And it means the number of people having this problem, because it's a problem, we are social animals, sorry to say that, is really big. And I think this is the social media stuff is one point. And on the other side, let's talk about technology and all these words, artificial intelligence, machine taking over what we are doing. But at the end, it's again, how can we create a relationship employee customer, or how we can in our private life create a relationship? We are not creating a relationship through the machine. Yes, it can be the medium that we are now using, you and me, we use the computer, Zoom, to have this discussion. But basically, at the end, it's you, I see your eyes, I see your face, how you're reacting on what I'm saying. And I think this make really the difference, the relationship between two people, and not going back and having ChatGPT answering these questions. I think if I would have prepared all my answer with ChatGPT, you would have already said, let's stop the discussion, let's go to the next customer, to the next guest. And I think these individual and personal interactions are more and more important nowadays, that technology can solve every problem.
I agree with you. And these often lead to really key insights. And I'm curious, how do you define insights?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Let's go back to what I'm doing, transformation. I think insights, you can get information from a qualitative point of view or from a quantitative point of view. And there we need to really to understand what you want to achieve, what are your goals, and then you can start getting insights. For one stupid example, but that everybody knows and understands, getting some insight from customer. A lot of companies are running voice of the customer programs. And you get this survey at the end of an interaction with the company. You're asked, would you recommend us from 0 to 10? And you have a free text field. Understanding and using and leveraging this free text field to create insights, understand what it's working well, what it's not working well. It makes sense if you take these insights and you try then to modify, change, improve, optimize your processes, the experiences that you are offering to your customer. For sure, perhaps some people are saying, yes, but I'm answering and it's not working. I know a lot of companies perhaps are not running in the right ways this voice of the customer, because the only thing that they want to do is to get to the 9 and the 10 to get the bonus at the end of the year. Yes, the figures are okay, but using these figures to massage CEO egos make not really sense. It's really to get these insights, and with the example that I shared with you.
I think it's interesting, but I often find that people on surveys, when they're given open-ended questions, they don't often answer them, right? They often skip them or answer them minimally.
May I ask you, why are people not answering that? Because people, and that's something we researched, knows that nobody's doing something with this feedback. And then it's clear that you're not answering that. And this is the problem of using this service or trying to create insights in the wrong way. If you share a feedback together with me or with my company, and I take the time, because you invested time to answer my questions. If I take also the time to say, thank you very much, you provided the feedback, I took your feedback, I give that to the department XYZ, to IT to fix the problem, then perhaps you would feel a bit different. And if in 2 months I can give you the feedback, thanks to your feedback, we were able to improve this process, the problem that you had will never happen again, then perhaps you would your willingness to give feedback would be higher.
If you were given a choice to only pick one method to do insights, would you pick quantitative or qualitative, and why?
I would pick, that's a difficult one. I would pick qualitative, because there are some studies that you can find out how people are behaving only doing analysis on a set of 7 to 10 people. You're following that. And I think leveraging human-centered design and so on, you can at least change the behavior. Then with the quantitative, you can do all the stuff. But in this case, let's go with this one.
I agree with you. I would go qualitative as well, because I think it gives you the opportunity to dig, react, and go deeper. And then you can always quantify it. But if I would give it only one, I think you were more likely to uncover insights through conversations. But how would you define insights?
For me, an insight, it's a fact and information that it's relevant to what we are trying to do, to what we want to achieve, that has some foundation, qualitative or quantitative foundation, with the one I can improve or create something.
Yeah, I agree. I think insight is getting at a core truth, right? And that's why it led to me for the aha moment. And to me, and it'd be interesting to see how you react to this example. A good comedian to me can often give you great insights. because they have the ability to take something from over here and over here, put it together in a way and say it to you. It makes you go, oh my God, I never thought of that, but that's so true. That to me is an insight. It's not just a fact. It's a combination of many things put together and articulated in a way that reveals some core truth. And I think that's what drives people like you and I with these insights to pursue those aha moments, right? Because that's what you say, aha, I get it now. I get why they're doing this. I get why, they have a trigger or what's driving them to not or do or to do something. Why do you think people today are buying experiences versus just products?
Because nowadays it's extremely simple to copy a product and replicate that. And it means, yes, I have a lot of products around me, but are they giving to me something? For a product, if you have a product, only few companies are able to create and to move emotions with a product. And emotions, memories, and so on, you can create them only offering an experience. And this is a bit more than only the product itself, but it's all around that. And on one side, companies can differentiate themselves from the competitors, offering experiences because it's not so easy to copy them. And on the other side, we as customer, if we live or we are facing experiences, then we can get something more from these moments that we can remember. I think that's the difference.
But you said something interesting because you're not just talking about experiences, you also talk about emotion. And I think you're saying somehow tap into an emotion. Is that correct? And if so, why?
Because there is studies that are saying that from all the decisions that we are taking in one day, roughly between 95 and 98% of the decisions that we are taking are taken with the emotional side of our brain. And basically, that's for me the why, the difference. I need to move, I need to touch the emotions of people in order to achieve something bigger than only selling something.
It's interesting. I was just talking about that. I do some guest lecturing, and I was talking about this. If there's three things you can do, uh, people are willing to pay you money for those things. And those three things are if you can save people money, if you can save them time, or if you make it easier, they're willing to pay you to do that. If you can do one, it's 1x. If you can do two, 2x, three, 3x, meaning I think you're likely to be 1x successful if you can do one. But if you can do two, 2x successful, and three is 3x. But there's a fourth element. And that fourth element is what we're talking about. And that's an emotion. Because if you can evoke an emotion, now we're talking maybe 6x, 10x, 12x. I don't know what it is, right? Depends on the emotion.
Yes, but this is exactly the example we often use. If you buy coffee tab or a coffee in a restaurant, then it's, I don't know, I say €5, $5, I don't know exactly. But if you are buying an experience like a Starbucks coffee that you feel important because you have the Starbucks coffee, then the price of the coffee is much higher. At least where I'm living, it's roughly $14 to have bigger for a bigger Starbucks coffee because it's cool to be there. But that's also why some products are much more expensive because they offer an experience. And this is the value that you can generate for the customer. How is receiving this value? How is feeling this value?
You've been quoted to say, none of us is smarter than all of us. What do you mean by that quote?
The quote, it's not mine. I want to be honest. It's a quote that I reused. But for me, doing projects, doing transformation, it's always extremely important. I can be smart, you can be smart, but I think also in this case, the two of us create a more interesting conversations and get insights, going back to what you said, better insights that you alone and me alone. And therefore, I think the power of a team, it's extremely important. And you see my background, I always use the soccer, the football example. You can have the best player in the world, but if the other 10s are not playing together with him, he will never win a game. it can win only if the teams work together, they are all together, and they want to achieve something. In the case of football or soccer, it's to score more goals than the competitor.
What are the three things you think prevent people from actually recognizing that they should work as a team as opposed to it's an individual effort?
I think the first one is speed. If I do it by myself, I'm quicker, but then it's always on your shoulder to do that because other people can learn, cannot give you insights. Perhaps it's also because they want to be recognized for the work. Because if it's a team, it's the team that achieves something, and people want to be the heroes, and therefore I do it by myself because I can achieve that.
What impact do you think AI is going to have on their focus on human-centric? Is it going to improve it, not change it, or diminish it?
It's going to transform that. I am quite convinced that artificial intelligence will transform how we are living and how we are doing business. And for me, it's extremely important that we find and we help companies find the right balance between human and machines. I'm convinced also that there will be not so many businesses that work only with machines. We will need human because we need to build relationship with other humans, and that we discussed at the beginning. However, AI can augment, automate, improve processes, and back to what you said, make life easier of people. I think a lot of process can be speed up thanks to machines finding information, putting information together. But at the end, I think that it's extremely important that machines work for humans and not humans works for machines.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is even to get the best out of AI, you need to be able to ask it good questions, which comes from humans. Otherwise, you're only going to get stuff. Yeah, it's the trick is actually the questions and how you frame it and the information you're going to get, and that's where AI can be very, very powerful. But I agree with you. I mean, as much as technology is advancing and changing our worlds, transforming our lives, the human connection is still there. It's a big part of the experience. Where do you see yourself focusing in the future for human-centric transformation? What do you think is going to be an area you'd like to focus more time, effort, and maybe research on?
If I speak about transformation, I see transformation not as one project or several projects that are run in a company. And for me, if we want that these projects have really impact, then I want to invest time on the cultural side, on the culture within a company, creating a culture that foster innovation, that foster co-creation, that helps the business grow. Because from my point of view, engage employees create happy customer, and happy customer creates happy shareholders. And only in this way will work and businesses can last for the long time.
Is there a particular area you think is going to be of more interest for you, or?
The culture within a transformations team, the culture within a company, how people are working together, how decisions are taken, how is the governance within the company. What I'm seeing is in a lot of companies, there is always additional administrative work. If you want to implement a project, you need to go to 25 committees explaining everything 50 times. Everybody wants to give you feedback. And I think we are decreasing the speed of change in companies, even if the transformation and everything around us is increasing dramatically the speed of change. But companies to implement and to understand that they have big issues. And I think to go back to, let's say, culture where the human is at the center and it's created around that, it makes sense.
So let's say I'm a listener of this podcast and I say, Gregorio, you convinced me to transform my company to be more human-centric. What are the first three things I should do to pursue this endeavor?
Listen to people, and speak with them. Try to find solution that works for your employees and that works for your customers. And if it's not working, contact me, please.
Speaking of that, who in the world of digital marketing or human-centric transformation would you love to have dinner with, and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think from somebody from the past. And in particular, when I started my career, I started understanding how these connections, how these relationships were important in business. And the first book that I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie. And this is a book that I read several times. And therefore, I would like to have dinner with him, if it would be possible, to understand how was he able to have such a future, at that time, futuristic view on the importance of relationship building business in the right way for the long term.
I'm curious, when you pursue insights and you do research, there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it is noise. Have you figured out a way to kind of cut through the noise and get to the heart of the insights? And if so, what are two or three tips you could give someone on how to cut through the noise and focus in on the insights? What do you do? What process do you go through when you get a lot of information? You talk to a lot of people, you look at data, but you get a lot of information, and a lot of it can be overwhelming and paralyzing.
First of all, understanding the context. Second is doing a small step. If you are doing a project, if you're doing something transformation, then do it in iterations and try to get feedback as quick as possible. I know a lot of companies are already doing that, but please don't wait for the test phase when everything is already implemented to start asking questions, to start sharing that with customer and with employees. But start doing that at the beginning. You have an idea, share this idea, create a prototype on PowerPoint, on a small website, and so on, and start getting feedback from the people from the beginning. Focus on their needs, not asking them what they want, but focus on their needs and iterate again, and again in order to get your solution. Only with this, sorry for the specific word, minimum viable product, you can create then long-lasting solutions that works for your target customers.
And I think you would also argue that it's an ongoing process. It never ends, right?
Improve.
Yeah, it's never like an end point. Well, Gregorio, I want to thank you for joining me. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure. I hope that the audience enjoyed this discussion as much as I enjoyed that. Thank you very much to you also for what you're doing, for sharing this great episode, this podcast. We learn always a lot. Thank you very much.
Getting to AHA was brought to you by iResearch. To find out more about us, head to iResearch.com and make sure to search for Getting to AHA in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else podcasts are found. And don't forget to click follow to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. Thank you for listening.